Myth number 1. Myth: Chudails are the spirits of women who died during childbirth. Fact: this myth reflects societal anxieties surrounding maternal mortality, a serious issue in many parts of the world. In folklore, Chudails often originate from tragic deaths related to childbirth, highlighting the vulnerability of women in these situations and the community's collective fear of death in childbirth. The Chudail becomes a symbol of unresolved grief and injustice. Myth number 2. Myth: Chudails have backward-facing feet. Fact: the detail of backward-facing feet is a hallmark of Chudail stories, symbolizing their supernatural and menacing nature. This physical trait is not based on reality but serves as a narrative device to immediately identify a Chudail and emphasize her otherworldly presence. It also underscores the inversion of natural order, marking the Chudail as a being to be feared. Myth number 3. Myth: Chudails can transform from beautiful women to hideous hags. Fact: this myth plays on the theme of deception. In many stories, Chudails appear as stunningly beautiful women to lure unsuspecting victims, only to reveal their true, terrifying form later. This transformation symbolizes the danger of superficial appearances and the hidden threats beneath them, reflecting broader cultural warnings about trust and deceit. Myth number 4. Myth: Chudails haunt rural areas and deserted places. Fact: rural and deserted places are common settings for ghost stories because they evoke feelings of isolation and vulnerability. The belief that Chudails haunt these areas taps into the fear of the unknown and the dangers that lie in uninhabited, remote locations. This association may also reflect real-life dangers of traveling or living in isolated regions. Myth number 5. Myth: Chudails drain the life force from men. Fact: this aspect of the Chudail myth likely stems from deep-seated fears regarding female sexuality and power. The idea of a Chudail draining life force from men can be seen as a metaphor for the perceived threat of women's independence and the consequences of male exploitation of women. It reflects societal tensions regarding gender roles and power dynamics. MYHT number 6. Myth: Chudails can be appeased with offerings and rituals. Fact: many cultures have practices of making offerings to appease spirits, which are believed to bring protection or favor. These rituals provide a sense of control over the supernatural and offer a way to cope with fears of the unknown. The practice of appeasing Chudails with offerings underscores the human need to placate forces believed to be beyond their control. Myth number 7. Myth: Chudails have a vengeful nature and seek revenge on those who wronged them. Fact: the vengeful spirit is a common trope in ghost stories, symbolizing unresolved anger and a desire for justice. Chudails often represent women who suffered great injustices in life, such as abuse or betrayal. Their stories highlight societal wrongs and serve as cautionary tales about the consequences of mistreating others, particularly women. Myth number 8. Myth: Chudails can possess the living. Fact: stories of possession by Chudails may be metaphors for unexplained or socially unacceptable behavior, such as mental illness. The idea of possession reflects broader cultural fears about loss of control and identity. It also speaks to the human need to explain behaviors that deviate from the norm in supernatural terms. Myth number 9. Myth: Chudails can only be seen at night. Fact: the association of Chudails with nighttime ties into the universal fear of the dark and the unknown. Night is often depicted as a time when supernatural entities are most active, capitalizing on reduced visibility and heightened senses. This myth enhances the eerie atmosphere of Chudail stories and underscores the fear of what might be lurking unseen. Myth number 10. Myth: Chudails can be warded off with specific chants or talismans. Fact: the use of chants, prayers, and talismans to ward off evil is a widespread practice in many cultures. These rituals offer a sense of protection and reassurance against perceived supernatural threats. In the case of Chudails, such practices reflect the deep cultural belief in the power of words and objects to influence and control spiritual forces. These detailed myths and facts about Chudails show how folklore intertwines with cultural, social, and psychological elements to create rich, symbolic narratives that both entertain and convey deeper truths about human fears and societal issues.